Once upon a time, a very, very long time ago, Adam Harishon, also known as Adam, the first human being God ever created, saw that it was wintertime. The days were getting shorter. And Adam, distressed, said, "Oi! Maybe it's because of me. Maybe because I did something wrong. The world is getting darker and darker and will return to chaos, to the tohu vavohu that used to be before God began bringing structure to the world." So Adam stopped from everything he was doing. He fasted and prayed for 8 days. And then came Tekufat Tevet, that is, Rosh Chodesh Tevet, the new moon closest to the winter solstice, and Adam began to see that the days were getting longer again. Deeply relieved, Adam said, this is just the way of the world. This is how seasons work. The days get shorter and then longer again. So Adam, the first human being, went and made an 8-day festival celebrating the world's returning to light. So what's the meaning of Chanukah? This ancient story of Adam, found in the Talmud, comes and explains the origin of Chanukah, our Jewish winter holiday. Literally since the very beginning of humankind, we've felt a certain panic as the days get shorter. We feel like the darkness might never end. We need to bring light, and we need to celebrate joyously once we see the light start to return. Now, hopefully, some of you are thinking, wait a second, this story giving us the meaning of Chanukah doesn't mention anything about lighting lamps. It doesn't talk about the miracle of the oil, it doesn't talk about the Maccabees, and it doesn't talk about the rededication of the temple. But apparently, unless the rabbi's making things up, which is always a possibility, it comes from ancient Jewish tradition, from the Talmud. So what's going on here? Well, once upon a time, a very long time ago, our ancient rabbis were having a passionate discussion about lighting Shabbat candles. They were just really into it. What can I say? And in that passionate discussion about Shabbat candles, they start another passionate discussion about Hanukkah candles. What should they be made of? How many should we light? When should we light them? And where should we place them? Our ancient rabbis were in the weeds of it all, and they were loving it. But then they stepped back for a moment, finally starting to see the forest for the trees, and they said, wait, what exactly is Hanukkah? And they taught each other as they remembered the story together. Hanukkah begins on the 25th day of the month of Kislev, and it lasts 8 days. It's a festival of joy and celebration because when the Greeks entered our temple, they defiled all the sacred oils we used for lighting our lamps. And when the Hashmonaim, the Hasmonean monarchy, defeated the Greeks, they searched around the temple and found only one small container of oil that was still okay to use. It could last only 1 day, but a miracle occurred. They were able to use 1 day's worth of oil to light the lamps for 8 days. So our sages, our ancient scholars who preceded our ancient rabbis, declared that these days were holidays and decreed we would recite the special Psalms of Hallel. Okay, so far we have 2 different stories, both from the Talmud, explaining the meaning of Hanukkah, the why behind this special and joyous Jewish custom and religious observance. So it seems that instead of finding the meaning singular of Hanukkah, we're finding the meanings plural of Hanukkah. Many times on Shabbat morning, I've spoken about our adult education class, weekly warm-up Torah study. Over the past 2.5 years, I've offered a variety of different adult education classes here at Adat Shalom. We have high holiday prep classes, several different Israel classes, even a class studying our weekly Haftarah, but for whatever reasons, this Thursday morning time slot for study and discussion of the weekly parashah has established the most loyal following and the most ongoing presence. Quick sidebar, we do have some new additional adult education classes coming up this spring. Ask me more at Kiddush. But so in our weekly warm-up Torah study on Thursday mornings, there's one type of question that, at least to me, we seem to ask over and over. Let me give you an example. Our parsha this week is Miketz. And in our parasha, we read the story of Joseph reuniting with his brothers because there's a famine in the land, and Joseph's brothers come to Egypt looking for food. As we know at this point, Joseph is basically the second most important and powerful person in the land of Egypt, and he's not even Egyptian born. But he looks Egyptian because he speaks Egyptian and dresses like the other Egyptians. So this begs the question. And this question was asked just this past Thursday during our weekly warm-up Torah study. How Jewish was Joseph when Joseph was living in Egypt? Did he have and feel a Jewish identity? And this question was actually asked in class, did Joseph keep kosher? This is the type of question that we in our weekly warm-up Torah study ask over and over. And actually, this is the type of question that we as Jews ask over and over. This type of question that we as Jews love to ask is the type of question that doesn't have a clear answer. It doesn't actually say literally or directly anywhere in our parasha whether Joseph felt Jewish or kept kosher when he was living in Egypt. And so the simplest answer, but not the most Jewish answer, would be something like, well, I don't know. Now, the most Jewish answer is not actually one singular answer. It's many different answers. It's our process. It's the Jewish process to start with an I don't know and create an endless number of different correct answers. And we go through this creative, generative process. We do have to stay grounded in the text and the tradition somewhere. We can't just make things up. There is such a thing as a wrong answer, but in almost every case, there isn't such a thing as the one correct answer. There isn't just one meaning, there are multiple, plural meanings. In my 7 years of rabbinical school and my 7.5 years so far working as a rabbi, I've come to understand our tradition of multiple meanings as perhaps the greatest strength of Jewish culture and religion. After all, humans come to our cultures and our religions to find meaning in life. And when we come to Jewish culture and Jewish religion, we get to explore a multiplicity of meanings. We get to find the ones that work best for us. Even once we have some background knowledge, we get to make up our own. Now, I look at this multiplicity of meanings, this generative culture and religion, and my personal reaction is, wow, how cool is that? Sometimes I gotta step back, I gotta humble myself and remember, not everyone is curious and nerdy in the exact same way that I am. Some people want only one meaning. They want someone to tell them what that meaning is so they can go home and rest their head on the pillow with clarity and definitiveness. And that way of feeling, that way of being, that way of relating to Jewish culture and religion, that wanting one meaning, is also completely valid and is also completely wonderful. Personally, it's not for me, but I'm kind of a nerd. After all, rabbis are professional scholars. I can't quite manage to say when I've read at least 2 stories that explain 2 different meanings of Hanukkah that there is only one meaning of Hanukkah. But here's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to make one last impassioned plea for the case of multiple meanings, for the value of multiple meanings. And then, because you know I love you all, and you know I enjoy a challenge, I'm going to do my best to offer us one meaning of Hanukkah for this year. So I'll start with the impassioned plea. It's come up in several conversations I've had this year with members of our community that Jewish tradition gives us a specific time of day to light Hanukkah candles. That time of day is dusk. That is, we light our Hanukkah candles as it is getting dark. On Shabbat, we light them a bit earlier, but that's another story. The idea here is, on the other 7 nights of Hanukkah, we light the candles as it's getting dark. Now, what's the reason given for this? Because the idea behind lighting the Hanukkah candles is publicizing the miracle, or in Aramaic, Pirsume Nisa. We want the whole world, Jews and non-Jews, to know that God made a miracle for our people. And we communicate this by lighting Hanukkah candles and placing them in a location in our homes where they'll be visible to the world at a time of day when people will see them, which is dusk, because people are returning to their homes after a day of activity and will be out and about seeing the homes of their neighbors. So this is a traditional explanation originating in the Talmud. It doesn't give one meaning for the whole holiday of Hanukkah, but it does give only one meaning behind lighting the candles at a certain specific time. Now, this came up the other day in a conversation here at shul, not even in the adult education class, and it was immediately met with objections. And these objections were sensible and valid. First objection, well, that time to light candles being at dusk makes no sense. It's not when I come home from work. This is valid. In ancient times, people would come home when it got dark. But now, our world does not operate that way at all. Second objection, it doesn't matter what time we light candles if we don't have a place in our homes to display them and have them be visible to the world, like if we live in a home that doesn't have windows facing a street. And what if we live in a place or at a time when it's not safe to be recognized as Jewish? Indeed, these are valid objections. And our tradition does instruct us to put safety first, recognizing that if we can't display the miracle to the world, at least we can display it to ourselves within our home. We see from this example that in cases when we have only one explanation, only one meaning, it's easy to find objections to that meaning, and the objections can be valid. One of the greatest advantages of multiple meanings is that they function together like a welcoming sort of safety net. If one of the meanings in Jewish tradition doesn't work for you, that's okay. Another meaning will surely be there that does resonate for you, that you can hold on to, that manages to keep you engaged and active in the Jewish fold. Our tradition of multiple meanings makes us stronger as Jews. It gives us more points of connection, more points of understanding, more opportunities to resonate and belong. So that's my impassioned plea. And now, for the one meaning. At the end of the day, what is Hanukkah all about? So this year in our community, it's been a beautiful Hanukkah of gathering, connecting, celebrating our accomplishments, and expressing our pride. But in the world this past week, it's been an unspeakably dark time. In chronological order, we had a mass shooting at a university. We had an anti-Semitic terror attack, a pogrom, at a Hanukkah celebration in a public place intended to publicize the miracle of Hanukkah. And we had a very tragic double homicide right here in our city, a man killing both of his parents. These events all unfolded in the span of just over 24 hours, right at the beginning of Hanukkah this year. This is unspeakable darkness. And yet, our holiday of Hanukkah and our gathering together brought us light. Here in our shul and in our homes, we've lit candles, we've joined our voices in song, we've shared delicious foods, we've celebrated accomplishments and milestones, proud to be Jewish and proud to be ourselves. Perhaps the spark of our Hanukkah light this year was just one physical candle on that first night, but the light over this week that we've brought to each other and into the world is also emotional, and it's also spiritual. Adam Harishon, Adam, the first human being, worried he would perish if the world's light went away. And we here today know we would spiritually perish if we ever allowed the world's darkness to overtake us. The meaning of Hanukkah is to move from darkness to light, from division to connection, from tragedy to healing, from uncertainty to pride and celebration. We know that even in this world of darkness, we are and we must be a light unto the nations. This Hanukkah, may we all together keep shining our light. Chanukah Sameach, Shabbat Shalom.